Welcome to Talks with Sheba, the place where real people give real answers on issues plaguing our community today. Hi, I'm your host, Dr. Sheba Holly. Thanks for joining us on this marvelous Monday. We aim to invite, excite, educate, and empower. So let's talk. Let's talk about the alopecia movement. Why? Because they say that beauty is skin deep and a woman's hair is like the mane of a lion. But what happens when genetics plays a part? When hair is not there? What do? We will find out. What is alopecia?
Alopecia is a medical term that is used to describe all types of hair loss. It's a common and distressing symptom that affects both men and women of all ages. Hair loss alters physical appearance and can have a big impact on self-esteem. There are many different potential causes of alopecia, some of which can be treated effectively. A healthy hair cycle involves 3 phases. During its lifetime, hair goes through the anagen or growing phase, the catagen or regressing phase, and the telogen or resting phase. The hair cycle involves a balanced process, controlled by small molecules called prostaglandins, or PGs for short. 3 PGs play an especially important role in the hair cycle. PGF2 alpha and PGE2 stimulate the anagen phase and result in hair growth. However, PGD2 prolongs the telogen phase, resulting in shedding of the hair. Alopecia occurs when the prostaglandin levels are out of balance. This alters the length of the different phases of the hair cycle, resulting in miniaturization of the hair follicle and gradual hair loss. Prostacynon, latanoprost, and minoxidil are active substances that can be used individually or combined to restore the prostaglandin balance. Prostacynon inhibits PGD2 and exerts anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects to counteract miniaturization of the hair follicles. Latanoprost increases PGF2 alpha and induces and prolongs the anagen phase, resulting in hair growth and thickening. Minoxidil increases PGE2 and also promotes hair growth and thickening. With these active substances, personalized treatment can be compounded to restore balance. The result is a healthy hair cycle. Fagron has developed comfortable, safe, and easy-to-use vehicles and applicators for combined or individual treatment with prostacynon, latanoprost, and minoxidil. Pharmacists can use this unique solution to compound a treatment tailored to the specific needs of the patient.
Now, that was an education within itself. Tonight, we have Rashida Mosby and Charlotta Sneed. Thank you, Charlotta. I'm sorry, honey.
It's okay.
Charlotte Sneed. And we're just happy to be here because there's a lot of information out there that no one knows, and you don't know what you don't know. I remember the first time I ever heard the word alopecia. I didn't understand it. I met someone for the first time in 2001, maybe. Around 2002, and it was a male. It wasn't a female. That's oddly enough, it was not a female. And he explained to me what alopecia was. I noticed he didn't have any eyebrows or eyelashes, and he had no hair. However, he was an entertainer.
Wow.
It was how can I? Ski Johnson, the saxophonist.
Okay.
And he was bald, so I thought, oh, that was just his fashion. That was his look, So here we are. We have 2 beautiful women. Look in the camera. Look at these women. They are gorgeous. And yes, I mean, they are with the Reign and Alopecia Movement. And it's the movement because it's time that we find out what our inner beauty is, and we're all beautiful. So Rashida, what made you start Reign?
Well, It's a very personal journey. It really did come out of a really personal journey when I was diagnosed with alopecia back in 2009. I was a newlywed. I was recently married. And ironically, or maybe not ironically, but a year prior, my hairdresser found a spot that was about the size of a 50-cent piece right in the back of my head as she was styling my hair. She happened to be a really good friend of mine as well. And she said, hey, I think you should get this checked out. I see this spot in your head. From my experience, I think it's alopecia. I'm not sure. You should go see your dermatologist. At that time, I still had long hair, grew up with hair all the way down my back, and I thought nothing of it. I didn't take it seriously. I thought, oh, okay, this is no big deal. And within about 6 months to a year, it rapidly progressed.
Wow.
To the point where it spread all the way around the edges of my head, and I was wearing a scarf to work to kind of conceal the bald areas around the edges of my head. And almost a year later, I was left with 2 strands of hair on the top of my head. My best friend at that time was getting married, and I was in her wedding. And that was the first time that I was publicly going to wear a wig in front of all of family and friends, because we were friends since high school. So it was about a year later where it had progressed to the point where there was no concealing it without putting on a wig or some type of headpiece. And it was really out of that journey and several things that happened thereafter that I decided that I needed to support myself and have the support of others and kind of help other women to not feel alone, because I was very isolated at the beginning of my journey.
Okay. Well, Charlotte. I'm getting it right. We'll get it right.
Yes, you got it.
How did you come to be a part of this movement?
Well, first I'll start out by saying that Rashida and I have been friends since 2nd grade. And
yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
7.
Okay.
And we lost contact, but, during important parts of our life, we've always managed to reconnect and find each other. And recently, I believe she had been diagnosed. She hadn't told me, but I knew that, Rashida always had long hair.
Right.
And she was always in the mirror. And it's just like, if anybody, God has a sense of humor, because if anybody would have alopecia or get this, why her?
Right.
I mean, she always had a mirror with her. So anyway, said that to say, we reconnected, and we became close. We started going out again. She's my sister, and she shared with me her story. Okay. And I could see that it was very personal to her. She always wore a scarf. Okay. And it was only when she started to feel comfortable, she would let others see it. Okay. So her close friends, I knew what it looked like. She showed me one day, and this is like a time where you can kind of go out with the bald head. It's hot now. It's in style. And, she looked pretty with it, and I told her that you could do it. You could do it. She wasn't ready. That was probably maybe 3 years prior. I'm not sure.
It was about 3 or 4, yeah.
And then, I was just always encouraging her, and I just watched her, she knew that she needed to do something. She wanted the support, and she had the support of her friends, but none of us had alopecia. Got it. And so we could support her to a certain extent, and I just told her that, if you want to do it, then one day we were sitting in the car, and I said, I'll help you.
I should have known you guys were near diapers.
Yeah.
With each other. I should have known, because you just said, I'm her supporter, but you are the co-founder, and you help her build up her courage to do what she's doing now.
Absolutely.
So that's huge.
Thank you.
That's huge. I mean, and now that we're there and you talk about her having a mirror, society's definition of beauty. What are your thoughts, ladies? What are your thoughts? And how can we move this in another direction?
I'm happy that it's changing. Like, I really do feel that the definition of beauty and the images that we see within our community are changing. And I'm very happy about that. But I think typically and traditionally, you know, the image of beauty for a woman is long flowing hair. It's long wavy hair
for men
usually.
too.
And for men too. Hair.
Oh, yeah,
Hair is beauty.
yeah.
And so the women are thinking that they need to have hair flowing down to their bottoms. And the men are looking for the same
Right.
because those are the images that we often see on the magazines, particularly in the videos. You know, I think a lot of our young women and young girls grow up seeing that and thinking that that's what they need to look like. So I definitely feel that typically when you think about beauty, and especially within, and I don't think it's just our community, but I do think that hair is a huge deal in the African American community.
Yes. Black men like hair.
Yes. Black men like hair. Black men like hair. Now, I learned and heard a few different perspectives at a recent event that we did that I'll share later. But yes, black men like hair. Men like hair. And when a man closes his eyes and envisions a woman that he desires, I don't think he sees her without hair.
Right.
So...
Yeah, that's interesting you say that, because growing up, I was this little bony thing, and, you know, we're not going to get into the complexion part, but that was an issue. But I had hair. So the whole thing was, you know, you're not that pretty, but you have some nice hair. I was like, well, maybe I should walk into a room backwards or like this, you know, because that's all they would have to say. And early on, I saw the importance. And the sad thing, well, it wasn't really sad, but my grandmother and my mother had really long hair, and it was natural. It wasn't, there were no chemicals in it. And matter of fact, they called her Shaka Khan because she had the big hair. So when people would say that, I'd be like, well, I have nice hair, so that makes me pretty, regardless of what my face looks like to them. You know, so the whole beauty thing, it's like, what do we tell our girls? How do we cultivate this high self-esteem that they need to have in order to function and get through this world? This world is cruel. This world is cruel. So, I mean, what do we have for society today? What could we do?
Well, part of this, and it is a movement, and I'm so glad that you acknowledged that and that Charlotte reiterated that, because it is a movement. And I look at the Rain and Alopecia movement as an empowerment movement for women, because I definitely do feel that our girls need to see a variety of images of beauty. A variety of complexions, a variety of hair textures, hairstyles, bald, braids, complexions, just a variety of images.
Shapes.
Yes, because that's the truth.
Yes.
That is the absolute truth. My daughter, her name is Rain, and that's I named this organization after her. When I came up with the name Rain, I wanted my daughter to have a name with meaning and power. And I wanted her to feel like she could reign in her authentic self at any given moment of her life. And if I was to give something as a gift to all of our girls and all of our women, it would be that you reign despite and in spite of your circumstances, what you look like, what your hair is doing on any given day, what you're going through. You have the ability, because it comes from within. That beauty is really internal. It's inside. And that would be exactly what I would want to offer to women and to our girls today.
Okay, so what do you have, a son or a daughter?
I have a son.
So what would you tell your son about beauty? What would you instill in your son to look for in beauty?
Well, to look at the inside of a person, he's at that age now where he's starting to date, and not date. He's not dating. No.
Okay.
He's at the age where he's interested, and he likes girls.
Okay.
And so we've been having conversations about, well, what do you know about her? You know, what's her favorite color? What's her favorite subject? You know, what kind of grades does she have in school? You know, what type of clubs is she in? You know, he had a young lady that he was telling me that he liked, and the only thing he could tell me was her favorite color and that she knew how to throw a football. And so,
That's cool.
yeah, and inappropriate for a 14-year-old.
Okay.
You know, but just getting to the essence of a person. What are her values? What are her characteristics? You know, wanting to just letting him know that beauty is on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And your attitude and how you carry yourself, you know, it shapes who you are. Yeah, so, and he has a sister, and so I kind of just, you know, in the natural, you know, what do you want? How do you want others, men, boys, to look at your sister?
Absolutely. Well, I have both sets. I have 2 boys and a girl.
Uh-huh.
And my oldest son, which is so cool, I would look at him all the time because he would look at myself, my mother, my grandmother, and his sister and say, wow, I'm surrounded by beautiful women. Mm-hmm. But then when he started dating, he's in his 20s now, but when he started dating, he would bring these girls, and I said, she looks a little interesting. Matter of fact, borderline crazy.
That was kind.
You know? So it was just like, he said to me, what do you mean, Mom? I was like, she looks a little janky, honey. You know, I don't know how to describe this. And I'm thinking it's from how I was treated, the way I was thinking too. And then I thought, I'm a bad mom when he replied, y'all ready? Well, Mom, God don't make no junk.
Okay.
You know I never said it again.
Yes. We learn a lot from our kids. Yes.
I said, okay, so he does look for inner beauty. And that was pretty cool to me when I thought about it. And then that's what I guess he was seeing. Well, I know he had to be seeing in our line of women, our matriarch. So that was like, okay, now more of you need to think like that. And not base beauty on the video.
Yes. Absolutely.
Like, oh my goodness. Folks are killing themselves to get a big butt.
Yes, they are. Literally.
Killing themselves. The 26-year-old in Brooklyn. Well, she traveled to Brooklyn, I believe it was. And that just broke my heart. I was like, why? Why would you... Who were you trying to impress? Because if you had that body for 26 years and you did fine, what would change that idea? What body image do you have? And the same thing with hair, you know? So where does strength come from, Rashida, when others don't understand?
God. Absolutely. Relationship with, you know, whatever your higher power is. But definitely, I think that you have to go internal. For me, I think because I was definitely dealing with it in isolation for so long, it forced me to look within, to, first of all, remember who I am, my worth and my value, regardless of what I look like and what I had going on the outside. But it also allowed me to just kind of get in touch with my strengths a lot more. I really can say that I think one of the greatest lessons that I learned from this whole experience was what I was worth. Because now I had to present myself in my true, authentic state. And I had to choose to do that because I could conceal it forever if I wanted to. But I had to get to the point where I was comfortable enough to say, this is who I am. This is what I look like today. This is what I may look like tomorrow. But this is who I am. And when I was really able to do that and really tap into, you know, just my inside, my makings, what God created me to be, then I was strengthened and empowered. No one could understand within my immediate circle because they were not going through it. I began to also look for other women who were dealing with this hair loss, who could share in this journey, my alopecia family. And I got inspired by several women that were either my business partners or friends from high school that I was able to see on Facebook and reach out to and kind of get some information from them about how they did it. And really, it was just that by partnering and joining together, like loving on each other and supporting each other and being candid and honest with each other too. Because that was a really big part of people understanding, was about the honesty that we began to share with one another as women. And that's when the strength came. And that's what the strength came from, the truth. And so now that's just kind of what it is. All of my hashtags are truth is and freedom for this movement, because it really is about being able to be who you are.
Right.
And I'd like to add that when she got to that place of truth and accepting, like, hey, this is me, this is who I am, right? You know, I don't have hair. When she got to that place, her hair started to grow back.
You're kidding.
It was amazing.
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow. So the authentic self. When I think of authentic self, there's this show with Viola Davis.
Yes.
Okay, how to commit murder.
How to get away with murder.
How to get away.
Yes, that's my show. That's yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I love
How to
it.
get away with murder. There was a scene she did the first season.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking
goodness.
about?
Yes.
When she
absolutely.
pulled it
all
off.
Yes.
That was a different meaning to getting undressed.
That's right.
And those
Powerful.
scenes need to be seen, because just like you talked about the girls getting the butts, I mean, you know, you have a behind on you that your body isn't able to physically carry.
Right.
And it just doesn't look good. But because we have a picture of image of saying this is what you should look like, you know, I think that's our goal, is to put, you know, a lot of the pictures that, you know, that we put out there were women who had bald heads. Now, we knew that there are many stages to alopecia. I mean, I could have alopecia, but we wanted to push the extreme.
Right.
You know, because we wanted to see, like, this is beautiful. This girl is bald and she's hot.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt like when she lost her hair, I mean, like, she became beautiful to me. She took it to a whole nother level. Like, she can wear it. I mean, it just looked good. Like, it was hot, you know, so.
And bold. And it's like, you command attention.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, world, I'm here. Hello.
And that that scene that you mentioned.
Yes, you just pulled.
Oh my gosh, that was.
I'm
you're
not gonna do it.
That was powerful. She was naked. She was
Yes,
her
yes.
true, authentic self. I mean, I really wish that I could have called Viola Davis up and, you know, just talk that through. Like, who came up with that? Was it the writer's idea? Was it your idea? Because she is a woman with alopecia. She has alopecia.
I did not know that.
She does. And so I began to post things on our page because she is a woman with alopecia. So then I was like, well, did she do this intentionally? You know, is she trying to begin exposure of that truth for herself? Either way, it was just a powerful scene because you got to see everything. She took the lashes off, the makeup off,
Everything, the wig.
you
saw the
off.
Scully, y'all.
Yes.
Oh my
You
goodness.
saw the little.
Yeah.
the little. Okay, and when I saw that, it brought to mind because someone had talked about her to me. They said, you know, Viola Davis is powerful, and she took a stand in Hollywood a long time ago.
Yes.
She's a theater actress. That she was going to be her authentic self, and they told her, her agent said, well, if you do this, we could get you out there faster, and you could get more money. And she said, no.
Refused. Yes.
She said no. So when she got on that show, I think it may have been her idea.
I think
because
so.
I really do. Because she wanted to show everyone I didn't sell out. I'm still authentic. But we have to be real. This is, we switch up. We have many faces. And I mean, that just, whew.
Yes. And that just confirmed that clearly she loves her true self.
Yes.
Because that was not something I'm assuming that she had to do on camera, but it was something that she did. And so for me, that moved me so deeply because you're talking about millions of viewers where the
trillions.
journey with alopecia and finally revealing that aspect of your truth. Oh my gosh, that is a process. And you unveil it very gradually, and typically only with your closest friends and family, even concealing it from your husband, which many women in this journey have done. So for her to do that was just, it was mind blowing. And it was like, I was on fire. I was like, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I loved it, but I just had to mention her because that was powerful for me. You know, it was really powerful, but still to come, and you mentioned it, the big secret after these messages.
Are you or someone you know suffering from stress, anxiety, or depression? Have you experienced feelings of frustration due to lack of family and/or career support? Let's talk. Relationship issues got you down? Get the help you need. Contact Dr. Sheba Holly, mental health advisor and life coach, at clarity.fm/Dr. Sheba Holly. That's DrShebaHolly. If confidentiality, comfort, and convenience is important to you, guidance is provided on your terms. You deserve peace of mind. Contact Dr. Sheba Holly, mental health advisor and life coach, at clarity.fm/Dr. Sheba Holly. That's DrShebaHolly. Get answers now. Make your appointment today. Let's talk. Clarity.fm/Dr. Sheba Holly. That's DrShebaHolly.
If you've just tuned in, you're tuned in to Talks with Sheba. We have Charlotte Sneed and Rashida Mosby and Alopecia Movement, Rain and Alopecia Movement. And we just brought on Rain herself.
Hi.
This is Rashida's daughter and her inspiration, who would always tell her mommy what? What would you tell your mom, Rain?
That she's beautiful and that she is one day her hair is gonna grow back, but she's beautiful and I love her the way she is.
Fantastic. Oh, everyone wants one of her.
Yes.
Well, we're back and we're talking about the big secret. So you said your hairstylist found your spot.
Yes.
Okay. So after that, what was the process? Because this was a secret. You didn't want to share it. And you mentioned in our last segment that a lot of people don't want to share with their husbands.
Yes. So the secret was discovered first by my hairstylist. And then, of course, to the dermatologist who I went to see for an official diagnosis and treatment. From there, it was still a secret. I came home from the dermatologist and I still didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my mother. I didn't tell my daughter. At that time, I was married. I didn't tell my husband what the diagnosis was. No, he didn't know that I was dealing with hair loss. He did know that it was progressing, but I walked around inside of my own house with a scarf on. And I did that for several months before I then began to show him and my daughter. And then later, my immediate family, my mother, still wouldn't show my father for quite some time. When my close girlfriends would come over, who I did reveal that I had alopecia, I would not show them what it looked like for quite some time. So I would, someone is ringing my doorbell. One of my good friends, Keisha, that I went to high school with, would come over fairly often. Our kids were friends, and she would be, I'm on my way, and ring the doorbell, and I may come halfway down the steps and forgot my scarf, run back up, cover it up, and this was a friend I'd had since the age of 14.
Wow.
So for probably almost a year, I kept it covered with a headscarf unless I was in the house amongst my husband and my daughter and my stepkids at that time.
Whew. And when did she show you?
Ooh, we've been through so much. She shared it after we reconnected. I want to say I can't remember if it was a year after.
It was at least a year and a half, probably,
Okay.
after the diagnosis.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she shared it. But even before she shared it with me, I could see her hair was thinning.
Okay.
But I didn't ask. I mean, I didn't, it really didn't matter. But yeah, when she told me, and she would, go get her injections and she just she's always an upbeat person. Okay. She's always the one who's giving advice to other people, who's counseling other people. And so I think she was vulnerable to me, and I saw that this was really getting to her. I think it was either she had an appointment to get the injections. I want to say I came to her job. And I don't know, I just can see the burden that she was carrying with it. And I just immediately just told her, like, well, what you're not going to do, like, you're not going to put on tons of makeup, and you're not going to wear a whole lot of jewelry. And so I think we all supported her in that kind of way, giving her that advice. But yeah, that's when I came.
That's interesting that she said for you not to put on a whole bunch of makeup and jewelry. And when you think about it, that's what you would see, like gaudy jewelry, and then just like this cake face, and wow, interesting. So what did your husband say?
My husband was very supportive. He really was. It was mind-blowing because we had only been married for probably about 4 months before the rapid progression began. We actually went on a trip to the Cayman Islands, and he dealt with it in its truest form there, because now, and a lot of women with alopecia go through this, you're on a vacation where you have to get in water. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to go in the water with your wig on?
Right.
It may come off. It may be floating on the top of the water, which I can laugh now, but this is real. Right. What are you going to do? You're on the beach with the wind blowing, and
you can't pin it down.
You can't pin it down. You may have spots, and your hair may blow up, and then everybody sees it. How are you going to deal with that? So he had to deal with it in the truest sense, because now, I'm not going to work. I'm not going to dinner with you. We're out where we're going to be doing a lot of activities where I have to make some choices about what I'm going to do with my hair, what I'm going to do, what I'm not going to do.
Right.
And he was very supportive. I would definitely say that he encouraged me in all of the stages. I mean, he went through seeing me crying in the mirror because I had no eyebrows, and I had to figure out how could I make the right one look like the left one. And no, I'm not going because it's taking me. Hello?
What? I'm like, your eyebrows are looking really good.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay, because mine's drawn on right now.
Yeah, So it's like, when you have...
Mine are too.
No. You too. Okay, hello. When you have no hair on either eyebrow, you have nothing to work with but the tips that some makeup professional who does this every day has given you. And now you're at home trying to make it work, and you look in the mirror and one is up here and the other one
looking
is
really
down,
curious, right?
and you're looking really curious. Yes. Yes. And you're like, okay, but I'm getting ready to go out into the world. Like, what am I going to do? So, he saw me through all of those stages, and was very patient. There were times when we were getting ready to go somewhere, and it just didn't happen. I couldn't do it. I can't do it. I can't get the eyebrow right, or, the lashes, 3 are here and none are here, or, I just am not feeling it today. And so that was the truth. And he was patient with me through that whole process, and supportive. Encouraging me, still kissing me on my head, still assuring me that I was beautiful. But it didn't really matter what he said. It didn't. It didn't. It was me, you know. And that's what it is. It's what I see and how I feel about it. What I say to myself about it. That's what mattered.
Right. And a lot of times women were concealing their hair. I know someone else who has alopecia and conceal their hair with weave. Conceal it with wigs, hats and scarves like you were talking about.
Yes.
And we think, oh, wow, they have a unique style, but their
It's a
style
purpose.
was for
Purpose.
Definitely a purpose. So you were
Yes.
getting shots.
Yeah,
Is that the
so
only...
no, it's not the only treatment method, but it's definitely one that a lot of people with alopecia pursue because a lot of the information behind it talks about the more rapid results that you will get with the corticosteroid injections in comparison to the ointments and creams and other options. So I was going for a period of about 6 months monthly to get injections in my head. At that time, I was almost completely bald. And the injections are put in every area that has hair loss. So that's multiple injections in my scalp, in the dermatologist's office. And it was very hit or miss. Sometimes there was very minimal regrowth, and sometimes there was none at all. Sometimes I would have the regrowth and then I would lose that hair again. But the trip to the dermatologist was one of the most emotional pieces of the journey because I would not at all look forward to that process. The pain that was associated with it, the discomfort afterwards. My scalp would be very tender. Afterwards, if I was coming in with a wig or a hat or a scarf, I would have to have some alternative to that because my head might be too sensitive to leave the way that I came. And it hurt. It was painful. In addition to that, I had to sit in a dermatologist's office and see other women with hair. And that was an issue for me for a long time, to sit and look around and see women who still had their hair, who didn't have to deal with what I had to deal with. And so that definitely was a painful part of my journey.
Wow. So let's check out how many other remedies or cures there are for alopecia, or treatments, should I say, treatments. So that gave you a graphic of a treatment called Balvic that helps the hair grow back, and it kind of like shows you visually what happens to the hair. You okay, honey? Okay. What happens to the hair visually that was spoken about in the first video when we come on air with about what's alopecia. That kind of showed you what the scalp is going through, what the hair is going through. It's like a war.
Yes,
you were watching,
an attack.
You said it was an attack, and that's just what it looks like. And you mentioned also that I wanted to touch on, and I don't want to lose this thought, the difference between going through this experience of having alopecia with a husband opposed to a boyfriend.
Oh yeah, yes. It's a big difference. I think it's interesting when I think about my journey, and I just thank God for the way that things occurred, because I do think that it was important for me at the beginning of this experience to start this journey with a husband, because I had that support in-house that accepted me as I am. Very different from now being a single woman. And going through the alopecia journey as a single woman is a big difference, because now, it's not that guaranteed, true blue ride or die, the person who signed on the dotted line or who took the vows. Is someone who is getting to know you, who has options. When you're dating, you're usually not dating one person. So sometimes you think about, no, unfortunately.
Okay.
That's another good topic. But now, so as the woman with alopecia, you think about, this isn't something that he has to choose or he has to deal with or accept. Now, I definitely am at a different place now where, I am who I am. I show you who I am. If I'm dating someone, they will see it, depending on what's going on with me right now. I have hair. A year ago this time, I didn't. I was rocking a bald head because I was dealing with hair loss.
That's right.
Yes, bald head.
Goodness, I remember.
Yes. So it just kind of depends. So now I show pictures of me in all of my stages. I'll openly share it. It's all over my Facebook anyway. And I really don't care. I'm okay with it. But it's still something that in the back of your mind, it's always there, Dating was very different. After being married, I was dating someone for, a pretty significant time who was very supportive of me during that time. But, I had my head wrap on with him for the whole year almost of the 2 years that we dated. And I would not show my head to him at all.
Wow.
No,
Okay.
I would not.
Okay.
And it was my choice. I was not at a comfortable place yet to truly be vulnerable. I had not revealed my bald to the world at that point. I had not started my organization at that point. I was still growing, and working on myself and being okay with it. So it definitely is a very different process for the single woman dealing with alopecia.
Ooh, so I want the reaction of family members, and we have the privilege of having Rain here with us. So Rain, what was your reaction when your mom told you that she had alopecia? First of all, how old are you?
11.
You're 11. So you were pretty young when it started happening, and alopecia that's a weird word. It's like, where did that come from?
I don't remember how old I was.
You were 4.
Yeah, so I really didn't know. Like, when I saw my mom's, like, bald head, I was like, oh. I was like, okay. I didn't really know, like, what it meant and everything. And so I told her she was beautiful, and we had affirmations, and yeah.
Affirmations for could you tell us about those affirmations?
Oh, yeah, so every morning or every afternoon after school, we used to come home and look in the mirror and say stuff to ourselves like, I am beautiful inside and out. And we used to tell ourselves, and sometimes, like last year in 5th grade, I was in the car sometimes, and we used to like look in the mirror in the car, and we used to say things like about ourselves to boost up our confidence before we went to school. And I used to say I am beautiful, and my mom would say I am smart and talented or something like that. So yeah.
That's awesome. And fifth grade was so long ago.
Yes, it was last year
It
for
was
her.
so last year.
Right.
But that's a good thing because it was more, those self-talks are very important. And at a very early age, she's learning this self-talk. She doesn't have to hear it from someone else. She can hear it from herself.
Yeah.
And you know what was very special? That when she said you had come out and you had no hair, and she was like, oh, okay. You know, it's like, that's
Yes.
mom. Because there wasn't anything that told her that was
Difference.
wrong.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
And that's interesting.
Right. And
because-
she hadn't been, that image of beauty was what she saw.
Yeah,
Was
and-
her mom.
Exactly. And my mother's beautiful, and if she's bald, that's what's up. He was like, that's what's up. So I just found that was touching. She said
Yes.
that was okay.
That was okay.
That was okay. So, ladies, I mean, what's next?
What's next?
Well, this is an empowerment movement, and so we just, are pushing confidence, and we're dealing with life issues. And, if you have alopecia, she happens to have it, but we all go through struggles. We all go through issues. Right now, we are kind of getting on this relationship tip.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, we are. We are really, and it's been so interesting the way that it came about, because just like when we said with the alopecia, for the single woman is so different. Relationships are always such a hot topic.
Okay.
And just trying to understand the different languages that men and women speak, and just understanding really how you kind of push past all of the superficial stuff.
Right.
And like get to the real deal. And with alopecia, you certainly have to get to what's real in order to move forward in, any relationship and in this journey. So we've been talking about relationships. We did an event called Straight Talk No Chaser last weekend, actually, a weekend before last, and it was the business. Okay, we had a great turnout. The men actually were talking even more than the women. Dr. Holly, I
really?
feel like we just need to give them the platform, and they
right.
really have a lot that they want to say.
Yes.
But I'm hearing a lot of that.
Yes, they had a lot to say and share about relationships. And earlier in the show tonight, you mentioned about, men like hair. Well, one of the things that came out in our discussion about, true beauty and kind of what men go for, what they're looking for, it got into a really nice little conversation flow. And a couple of men said it didn't matter. That it didn't matter to them, that this whole hair thing and, all these things that are going on the outside really are not as important as we women tend to think that they are. That there's a lot of other things that, that they end up liking and admiring about us that keep them there. And so very adamantly, several men said, I don't care if you have hair. I don't care if you have a weave. I don't care if you have braids. I don't care if you're natural. In fact, several men said, you know what? We don't even like weave as much as you think we do.
That Brazilian.
All those options, right? So that's something that we have been doing, and we are doing another event in April, Straight Talk No Chaser, where we go deeper with relationships and authenticity, being able to be true, your true self, regardless of what's going on, so that you can really have a true, meaningful relationship. With others and with yourself first.
Yes.
We also have support group meetings that we do bi-monthly at a business in Northeast DC. where we actually cater to specifically to the alopecia community, where the women can come out, and sometimes we have guests. We had an Ask the Doctor event with a dermatologist who was there to answer questions and do a really intimate conversation. In addition to partnering with a lot of other organizations, we've done a lot of partnership, because really the healing does come when we connect with each other. So there's a lot more in store. We're excited.
I'm excited for you. What is your website? Share that with everyone.
So we have a website that right now is in the making. Okay. But we are on Facebook, Reign and Alopecia Movement. They can search that and find us there. On Instagram, I am on Instagram as Ra Most Amazing. On Instagram, and our Facebook page, we have a page where they can get information and updates about events, but we also have a support group, which is a more intimate version of the Facebook page, where we have some dialogue about specific things that women might be going through that they don't want to air to the public. But we do have that public Facebook page right now, and we do have our website coming soon, in the works.
That is phenomenal. I am so happy you all came out tonight. Charlotte Sneed, Rashida Mosby, and our little Rain. Our little Rain and Alopecia Movement. And that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. If you have someone you love, check it out. This is support.